want to ask some questions and we can chat. Thanks for seeing me earlier. As soon as we're done, I'm going to go. I'm hitting the hay because it's a big early start tomorrow. And I've been battling this ear infection for the whole week, which hasn't been fun.
Oh,
So let's get started.
sorry about that, man.
No, thanks, dude. Ricardo Roberto Fitzpatrick, welcome to Coffee and Conversations with Champions, to the Powerlifting edition. And I can say welcome again because we've had you on before. And we wanted to
Yes.
just chat about sort of what you've been up to since we last spoke. But also, when I saw you, I think it was either at Commonwealth, World Masters, or at Africa Champs, you mentioned you wanted to talk about para powerlifting and why it's so important. So let's firstly welcome to the show. It's epic to have you back.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got to give you a. So, yeah, and for those wondering why I'm wearing a t-shirt, not a suit, it's about 36 degrees here, hot as can be. I'm running a fever, so it was just sweating too much. So I put the t-shirt on so I can focus on the chat with Ricardo. Listen, I shouldn't be
Yeah.
complaining about the heat given the part of the country you're in. What's the weather like there? Just
No,
before we
no,
get started.
we had some rain, some good rain this week, so it wasn't so hot this week, so we okay.
Okay, fantastic. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know. Okay, awesome, dude.
Mm,
All right.
mm.
So, Ricardo, tell us a little bit about para powerlifting. Let's touch on that. And then also, how did you get involved in the sport? So, give us a little bit about of a background of para powerlifting in South Africa.
Para powerlifting was, I think it was introduced back in Tokyo, 1960. I don't know.
Okay,
I
cool.
have to check, but that was the
Mm.
first time. And many of the guys didn't know, but a South African actually won the middleweight division.
Okay. Who was that? It wasn't you.
His
No.
No, it wasn't me. But his surname, I think his surname was with an H. I think it was Humble. You must just
Okay.
Google that.
We'll
Yes,
check that out.
yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
epic. All right.
Yeah, just check that out. But I think the first phase that I saw with para powerlifting is Muki Grobler. I don't know if you
Mm.
are familiar with Muki Grobler.
Not, I'm
She
afraid.
won the bronze medal. Yes, she won the bronze medal in Sydney 2000.
Okay. That's when I think
Yes.
Rodney was there with you. Rodney Anthony.
Rodney was Rodney was a coach back then. A very interesting story around that
Yes.
is where there were about 11 lifters in front of her, and
Sure.
she didn't have a chance of winning any medal. So what happened is all 11 lifters bombed out.
Wow. Wow.
And then she eventually won the bronze medal.
Sure.
So they definitely put para powerlifting on the map for South Africa. And so what happened is the sport federation now invested a lot in para
Mm.
powerlifting. So a number of lifters were identified. It was myself. It was the late Eugene Popov. It
Mm-hmm.
was VM Kutsia, the big guy. He was also. It was Anthony Antoni. I think his
Mm-hmm.
name was Antoni. He was also Anna Moketsi, Chantel Stierman.
Mm-hmm.
She was also identified. In fact, Chantel, Anna Moketsi, they were at the 2004 Athens Paralympics, and then um, Chantel also made a comeback. Um, like 2014, she made a comeback. In 2016, she attended the Paralympics in Rio de Janeiro. That was in
Okay.
2016. So that was
Sure.
the last time that we had South Africa competing at the Paralympics in
Sure.
powerlifting.
So the bench press is the only discipline that's in the Olympics at the moment. the para bench.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
fantastic. So
Yeah.
the just to go back a bit to Sydney in 2000, the reason I mention that is I just remember Coach Rodney talking about how fantastic the food was and how fantastic the meat was and how much he absolutely loved that. So the second
Yeah.
someone says Sydney Olympics, for some reason, that's what I think of. So just how did you get
Yes.
involved in the sport?
I attended Elizabeth Conradi School. That was back um, in 1999, and then there was weights, and there was like and then I actually want to follow my uncle's footsteps. Charles de Klerk, he did bodybuilding, and
Hmm.
then I was introduced to powerlifting, and then what happened is in that year. I jumped from a 40 kgs on my bench press. I went over to 75,
Sure.
which was
Okay.
which was a
Doubled
very good
nearly.
jump. And
Yeah.
yes, so yeah, Jan Fleming encouraged me to do competitions because I was competition ready in that time period. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Tell us about your first comp. What was that like?
Um, my first comp was it was in Pretoria at the South African Sports for the Physically Disabled. That was my first powerlifting
Hmm.
competition. And
Right.
then, yeah, and then, so I went over to Able Body also.
Yeah.
And then I remember 2002, I did the Aqua Bench Press Championships in Quebec. That was in Port Elizabeth back then.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I bench press 117 kgs
Sure.
in that
On the
time
equipped.
period, under
Right.
50, under 56 kgs. And then I made the SA team to go to Luxembourg.
Yes. Sure. I think
Yeah.
that's
So,
the famous photograph of you guys in your blazer and ties.
yes, yes. Back then we were with Rodney them
Yeah.
and the late Gail
Yeah.
Mackenzie. We were
Mackenzie.
all together. Yeah. So
Fantastic.
yeah, it was back then. Yeah.
It was wonderful to see because I don't think we've seen powerlifters in a group photo at a comp in blazers and ties for a while. Something we should be bringing
Yes.
back, Ricardo. So,
Yeah, I
what
think that would be a good thing.
I want to touch on your able body lifting as well, and sort of how you've been dominating on in both and doing really well. For you, what does powerlifting mean to you? What makes it so special?
Look, powerlifting, it's truly a magnificent sport. I mean, it's like it brings out the best in a person, and like if I, it's like I cannot switch off. I mean, if I can do a competition and I strain my body and I did this
Mm,
lift and I'm thinking no, let me take off 2 weeks just to rest properly, and then when a week have passed by, I cannot rest so long. I have to go back the following week and jump again
yeah,
because
yeah,
you're restless, you cannot sleep, you cannot relax. Gym is already part of you. I've been training now for more than 20 years now, so it's already in me.
hey,
I mean,
absolutely.
you can relate to that.
No, no, 100%. It's part and parcel. So, what what would you like to see in terms of support for the para powerlifting community? Because I think there's so many young people out there in particular, even older, even masters, that may not even be aware of the sport and the fact that they can compete on a level playing field, because I know with the IPF ruling the structure is very specific, which it's wonderful. And if we want to touch on that a little bit, we can. But the fact that there's something where you are able to compete at an international level. I know for me, Carrying a lot of injuries from my youth and the challenges that I've had, the opportunity to step up on that platform to represent yourself, your province, your team, your country, you know, to you're going back to Rodney again, to have Rodney in the back going, ah! Or, as you walking
Yes,
out for
yes.
your first deadlift, what are his words? I need this one from you.
Yeah,
So what
yeah. I think yeah, I
what
think
needs to be done? Mm,
yeah. Look. Para powerlifting can anyone can do it. I think that if let's make an example. You were a great able-bodied lifter.
mm,
You did powerlifting. You did your squat. You did your bench press. You did your deadlift. Now you're in an accident.
mm,
You're now paralyzed from the waist down. You cannot squat. You cannot deadlift. So the only thing that you can do is bench press.
his bench. Yep.
So I mean, just because you cannot do the other disciplines doesn't mean that you don't have to stop the sport completely. There's still
Yes.
an opportunity for you to compete in the sport that you used to do, and you can still become the best version of yourself, regardless if you are disabled or not disabled.
100%. Sure. What's it meant to you lifting in with able-bodied athletes? I don't want to use any inappropriate language, but as a kicking butt is a good way to put it.
Yes, yes, yes. No, it's really good. I think that what South African Powerlifting Federation has achieved is being visible and having the opportunity of having year-long competitions for everyone to compete in.
Yes.
And with the disabled competitions, we only have once a year to compete at, and that is at the disabled games for the physically disabled.
Mm,
So, and one thing that I do love about South African Powerlifting Federation is the willingness that they allow all people with different disabilities to compete,
yeah.
and they don't discriminate, and they're giving you that opportunity to showcase your talent, to showcase your strength. Yeah, and that's what I like. um, but to be honest with you,
Mm,
regarding para powerlifting, it's really an expensive sport, especially your Paralympic qualifiers.
mm-hmm.
If you have to do a trip, you have to do it overseas. We're talking about between 150 to 200,000 rand per
Mm,
trip, so
yeah.
it's quite expensive. So I mean, for you to compete locally, and if there is any international competitions in South Africa, I think every disabled athlete should take that opportunity to represent the country as an able-bodied lifter and to compete if the competitions are here.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think just that's such a valid point that we've spoken quite a bit on this podcast with a lot of athletes and coaches from around the world about the point of cost is the biggest inhibitor of attendance at competition at an international level. And also, I think particularly for South
Yes,
Africa, because you know, no one comes to South Africa and moans about our prices with an international currency. They're all going, "Oh wow, maybe that burger was quite expensive." I said, "Well, listen, you should see
yes,
what we pay for a burger." That kind of stuff. And where
mm,
it's very expensive for South Africans to travel, we're far away. Our currency is not strong, and there's visas and all of these other requirements to take into account. We've spoken about
yes,
getting, uh, one of the reasons we're doing this is to showcase the sport, showcase the athletes, give exposure to the sport and to the athletes so that potential sponsors could become aware of what is
yes,
available, what it means to get involved in powerlifting. It's a very clean, friendly, warm sport. I mean, we joke, you don't hear about powerlifters crashing their Bugattis in Monaco, right? You know, they're just down to earth, real people, and that's really the customer base of so many companies. It's the real people. Why should
Yes.
companies, if they're looking at getting involved in sponsoring, focus on or look at Paralympic athletes? And the wonderful thing, I suppose I'm going to answer this question to a degree. You sponsor a para athlete, a para bench athlete, you get the opportunity at Commonwealth, at Worlds, at World Masters, and Olympics, and World Games, and all of these
Yes. Yes.
different championships. So it's the one part of the lifting community that's able to compete in all of these large. I don't know. Maybe next you're going to get para lifters competing in the football World Cup. Because
No,
you know you guys could
it
do so
happens.
much.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like, let's get
Yes.
in a bench. Let's get in a demonstration bench session when you're lifting 5 times as much as the top footballers. It's always fun.
Yeah. Oh,
So
definitely, definitely.
so let's talk
Now,
about that.
Nicholas, yeah, I want to tell you a funny story.
Mm.
Back in 2016, me, Andre Ludik, and Chantal Stierman, we attended the IPC Rio Para Powerlifting World Cup.
Right.
And then when we landed in Rio de Janeiro, you could see the posters of para athletes. I mean, it was amazing to see all these posters of 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 them promoting their para athletes, and I'm thinking that's something we don't see in South Africa.
Mm.
It's like it's really we have the best Paralympians in South Africa. I think in 2016 we had quite a good team attending the Paralympics back then. It was just for the years the teams were declining, but
Mm.
when I've noticed in Rio de Janeiro is that athletes with disabilities were given that opportunity to be marketed and to show, look, we are here, we are
Mm.
being sponsored, and yeah, if you get that attention, then sky's the limit.
Right. 100%. You mentioned sort of where your journey started in school with bodybuilding and picking it up from there. How valuable would it be for kids that could compete in powerlifting to have access to lifting in schools? How big a difference would that make to them?
I think that for a youngster to get involved in any sport, not just powerlifting,
Mm.
it helps them a lot in terms of the academic. It helps them to keep them out of trouble.
Yeah.
It disciplines them, and I think for a young kid to be nurtured into powerlifting or para powerlifting, it's a good thing. It builds character,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're disabled. Even more important when you're disabled to do the sport
Yes.
because it breaks down the stereotypes
Yeah.
whereby people are being bullied for their
Mm-hmm.
disabilities, and you can show yourself whereby you can outlift everyone who have bullied you, and you can show them, listen here, I can beat you in this sport. So you have no say on me, or you cannot do what I'm doing. So I think
100%.
it's a confidence builder. Powerlifting, para powerlifting, it's a confidence builder for kids and for people with disabilities.
So well said, because I don't think there's anything better than saying to someone who's bullied you or bullying you, one, I can lift more weight than you, but okay, before you bully me, show me the gold medals you've won for your province. Show me the gold medals you've won for your country.
Definitely.
Show me the gold medals you've won, at the Olympics, or show me your the tracksuit you wore when you represented South Africa at the Olympics, and all of these things are possible. And I think
Mm.
it's a very healthy thing to put your energy into, rather than going down the other, the more dangerous roads of drinking drugs, trying to be popular, trying to fit in, expressing yourself,
Yeah.
whether you're able bodied or you're not able bodied, through athletic performance for a kid, it's invaluable. And just for myself, I think
Yes.
really this is what corporates should be looking at to make such a difference on the ground. Because you spoke about it when you went to Rio. There are posters of these athletes up and they're heroes. And to become a community hero, I know you're very revered and respected and loved and looked up to, not only in your hometown, but at all of our competitions. It's always wonderful to see you. You know everybody, and it's a
Mm.
wonderful thing. And you're a great role model. And I think it's something
Thank you.
that's really so important for sure. Tell us about sort of winning now on both. So you're winning in para, and now you're coming into able body to take those medals away, and because you don't want to share, you want all the medals. Huh?
Yeah,
You're
no,
like
definitely. Yeah.
you're like Tommy. You're just coming to take all the medals. What's it with you Eastern Cape
Yeah,
guys?
yeah,
Your
yeah, yeah.
Northern
I'm
Capes,
telling you,
excuse
I'm
me,
telling
Northern Cape. Right? So
you.
everything, alles.
Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, if I can go back to the able-bodied
Mm.
competitions, I think
Yeah.
that due to the fact that we had the opportunity of having both nationals and international competitions, I think it's the best to take that advantage
Mm.
and to attend these competitions. It's not so expensive to compete, nationally at the international competition as where you have to go abroad and compete there.
Mm.
So while the competitions are here, I just take uh, the best of my opportunity and compete here, and
Yeah.
then I train as hard as I can, and I do my utmost most best to beat my opponents and to
Mm.
win those medals.
100%. Let's talk about some of those
Yeah.
victories. Tell us about some of the competitions, some of the medals that you won.
Okay, as recently I have won the Commonwealth Bench Press Championships. That
Hmm.
was in Sun City.
How was that
Was
venue, by
also
the
very
way?
smooth. Wow, wow, wow! Look,
Uh,
look, look, look! I have to take my hat off to Honey and the crew. I mean, they truly um, do magnificent work, and
mm,
I mean everyone is praising the organizers here. If we can go back to the world champs, the world bench press champs
mm, mm.
last year, everyone was praising the organizers here, doing a fantastic job. And yeah, Sunset, it's always a breeze. It's always
Yeah.
terrific place to compete at. And yeah, how can I say? I'm just speechless.
That was
The
awesome.
guys always, yeah, they just leave a person speechless with having two competitions at once. I mean
Two two
that's
internationals
magnificent.
side by side, huh?
No, no, it's great. It's
Yeah.
absolutely great. And I mean the turnout. I think the turnout was it more than with previous competitions? Am I correct?
With all of the athletes combined, I think it was about 1,200 or 1,400 athletes. It was the
Yeah.
biggest powerlifting competition that I'm aware of. I can say it was the biggest competition that we've ever seen. And what was great is so many athletes were competing in multiple. They were doing Commonwealth, they were doing
Yes. Yes.
Masters as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
And I think,
I think
yeah,
it was the biggest turnout
yeah.
um, so
And then,
far. Yeah,
yeah, I
I
mean,
believe.
we had close on 200,000 views on the channels that we saw on our YouTubes, on the two channels respectively. We're still getting great views on that lifting, which is great. I think the thing which was absolutely epic though was, I think you lifted on, was the lifting on the Friday, I think, the bench.
But the Friday, yes.
The Friday. That I've never seen a turnout like that from spectators. I mean, there are a couple of
Oh
thousand
yes,
seats.
I remember.
There were so many
I
seats,
remember.
and people were calling for more seats. That arena, you got the lifting area. Well, that arena was 50 meters by 100 meters. There was 500 square meters. 400 of that was seating area for for the lifting. And it was jam packed. I mean, how was that atmosphere? What was that like standing on the podium, getting your medal? Did you got a protea?
Yes, yes.
Uh,
No, look, look, look.
what was that like?
It's it's amazing. It was a stressful moment because I missed my first two lifts, and then I got my last lift in, and the guys from Canada and England, they were
Mm,
chasing me. So yeah, it was a stressful moment, but it was very rewarding at the end of the day. I think that due to the fact that I've been competing for more than 20 years now,
yeah, exactly.
experience is kicking in at that time. So yeah, I just had to make sure on my last attempt to get it in. Yeah, I've
So
bombed out at lots of competitions, and I wasn't going to plan to do that again.
no, so I will say this, that I think I was announcing for you, which was always great. It's
You
always an
were
honor.
nice.
And
Mm,
I'll tell you this. It's like, okay, missed it. Okay, missed it. You'll get the third, because you have been doing it for
mm.
so long. And I think that I wasn't worried that you were going to get it. I know, okay, sweet. He'll get it. He's sorted. And I think that's such incredibly valuable advice to give, dude. Be- so many young athletes, and speaking as a coach now, youngsters say no, or even older guys, I'll compete when I can win. And you try to explain to them
Yeah,
there is nothing more valuable than time on the platform. Just get on the platform as soon as you can, start to compete, and as you start your 20 years of experience now. Gain that experience now. Don't wait until you can win.
yeah.
You'll
Look,
waste
look, look,
years.
look. Yeah, Nicholas, look, the guys are doing, amazing weights in the gym. To do a weight in the gym and to do a weight at competition, it's two different things. It's
Different
a
world.
different ball game.
Yeah,
Yes, and I mean, if you hit like a 160 in the gym, you won't hit that 160 at the competition because there's rules, there's commands, all those things
the weight the actual
are
weight error, the weight margins, a lot of the commercial gym
yes,
weights are like off by up to 15%, or at least
that,
they used to be.
that's the thing.
So I
Yes, I remember
yeah,
when I was at Virgin Active,
mm,
I took those weights down like the 20 kg
yeah, to the
plates, and
faster
then I
way.
weighed them. I weighed them, and they weighed about 18 point something kilograms. So I mean,
Yep.
you
And
you you cannot expect to do the same weight that you do in the gym at the competition.
not a
It's
chance.
totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's it.
and I think that guys should start competing even if they coming dead last in their flight.
Mm, mm.
It's all about experience. It's all about getting that atmosphere. Getting that pressure, taking that competition pressure, and build yourself through that. Yes.
Absolutely. And it's like with fighting. There's no benefit. There's no substitute for time on the mat. And in powerlifting, there's no substitute for time on the platform. And it's such a wonderful experience. Like once you do it once, that's all you want. You want to be back there, as
Yeah.
as you said, getting
Definitely.
spending 200,000 rand to travel overseas, to get jet lag, to eat food you're not used to, to go to a venue
Yeah.
you don't know, a hotel bed that may not work for you, different time zones,
Yeah.
just to step on that platform. It's so special.
Yeah, I remember when I go to the Asian countries back then when we did the powerlifting qualifiers for the Paralympics. I
Yes.
remember when I was in Korea, in Busan, South Korea,
Mm.
Busan. What was the food? Oh my gosh.
Now, we love our
The
Korean
sport.
athletes and we love Korea, but I do understand
Yeah,
because
I know, but I mean, it's something totally different. And I mean, I
you're a
had to go around
meat
and
and potatoes guy.
yeah, I had to get McDonald's and just to
Yep.
get some proper meat. And you see, that's the thing, yeah. But yeah, as I said, it's a very good experience to travel abroad.
Mm,
Abroad, I think that every athlete should at least make that opportunity to go overseas once in his sporting career, just to get
absolutely.
that experience.
Yeah. It is, and it's like
Because I
running
mean,
for flights and transfers and catching shuttles and getting to the airport. Like finally we're here, and then realizing you got to wait for 3 hours before your shuttle leaves because they're waiting for two more
yeah,
flights.
yes, no, definitely, definitely. So I
Uh,
think that every athlete should have that opportunity to compete abroad,
yeah.
so that they can experience all those things.
So, with that international travel, tell us about some of the relationships, some of the friendships you've made and built over the last 20 years.
Yeah, we had very good, opportunities
Mm,
especially with the IPC, with the International Paralympic Committee.
yes.
Um, I think that in 2004, that South Africa had the opportunity to host a two Athens Paralympic qualifier. Yeah,
Okay.
for the powerlifting. So it wasn't a big thing. It was very small. We had like a few athletes from the United States of America, if I can remember. Egypt was also there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Great Britain was also there. So yeah, it was a very small competition, but it was good. We had like 4, 5 uh, para powerlifters who qualified for the 2004 Athens Paralympics. So yeah, so with that, with the years that we competed, in different countries in Europe, in South America, in Dubai,
Mm,
in the Middle Eastern countries, Asian countries. So we built up very good relationships with those people, as well as I think that if if we can get corporates involved, to help us host more powerlifting
mm-hmm.
competitions in South Africa, it would be a very very good thing. We 2028 Los Angeles para powerlifting. I mean, Paralympics, Los
Mm-hmm.
Angeles Paralympics 2028. So I think there can be a very good opportunity to host a competition in South Africa, um, for a qualifier.
Yeah, and because that also makes it very reasonable for, I'd say even the Asia Pacific, maybe the Asia guys, the Pacific guys, because it's not as big a trip to the States, but especially for Africa. And we need a little bit more
Yes,
support on that here, for sure. So tell us, right?
yes,
So
no,
we spoke,
definitely.
yeah, we spoke about your medals at Commonwealth, winning at Commonwealth. Tell us about some of the other comps.
Okay, I've won 3 Commonwealth bench press championships, and then I won 2 African bench press championships, as well as the first inaugural Arnold Classic that was in
Mm-hmm.
2016. Yeah, when
Yes.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was in Sandton. So I won that competition also.
Where
Yeah,
Dan didn't leave his side.
yeah, I remember. Yes, yes, yes.
So I trained with him.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
trained with him.
Yes, yes, yes. I remember
Yeah,
that story very well.
yeah, very cool. Huh? Yeah, sure.
Yes,
Okay,
yes. Were
awesome,
you
man.
there that time?
Yeah, I was absolutely. I was there with my coaches. We got
Oh,
to
yes.
got to see Arnold, which meant a lot to the guys because one of the coaches through our academy, Chris, is a very committed bodybuilder. and he was doing
Yeah,
really well at that time within his bodybuilding career. So I think it meant a lot for him to see Arnold, and it
yeah.
was
No, no, no.
great.
Look.
Yeah.
Look. As
So
soon as it was announced that that South Africa is going to host the powerlifting and the bench press championships,
yeah,
the Arnold Classic. So I said no.
you
I
gotta
had
go.
to
Yeah. And I would say I actually
attend.
got that wrong.
I
No,
had to
I think
compete.
I took my guys in 2019, I think, or 2018. I think it was 2019 where Arnold was out again, where he got assaulted by that young man, did the flying kick. He was out
Oh yes,
again.
I
So I
remember
remember
that.
the very first one. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely, which was fantastic. That was the first time I ever back spotted at a comp of that level,
Oh
and
yes.
and thank
Okay.
goodness,
Yes, I
yeah,
remember
it
that.
was terrifying. It was terrifying because back spot, you're the decision maker, right? You know,
Yes. Yes.
you got to, yeah. So it was great. A lot of fun. The Africa, Asia, Africa, and Pacific. Did you compete this year?
Oh yes.
You forgot
Yes.
about that?
Sorry, I forgot about that. I also won that competition. Yes.
Yeah, just forget
Yes, I
about
forgot
another
about that.
international. Hey,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
oh,
Yes. Yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
So Ricardo,
Um.
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No. 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 Go on.
So tell us about the future. What have you got planned? I know we've got. I mean, benches in Norway next year. Also going to be quite an expensive trip out there, and there's a couple of competitions that are happening. We've got Masters again now in Cape Town. So, what are your plans for 2025?
Um. Nicholas, I'm looking at doing equipped again.
Okay,
Um,
awesome.
so I got a bench shirt now. So I'm gonna look at doing both classic as well as equipped bench press.
Oh,
And
brilliant.
I think is it
So saying
yes.
classic,
In
classic and equipped, able body and para. So it's effectively four disciplines you want to lift in.
I don't know about the para. I'll see how
Oh,
the para goes.
you're going to leave the
But
para. Awesome, dude.
yeah, but the thing is the able body bench press championships and the disabled games.
Mm.
It's quite close to each other. It's like 3 weeks,
Oh,
three
wow.
weeks apart.
Okay.
Yeah, so so I have to see how I'm gonna look at that point in stage. But yeah, as I said, I want to try again a core bench press.
Okay.
Just want to see because I remember the last time I did a core bench press was in 2013. That
Sure.
was
Okay.
in yeah, that was in Lithuania where I broke the South African record. I did a
Awesome.
190 bench press.
Sure.
So I broke the South African record in the quip. So I want to make a comeback in the quip. Yeah. So
Very cool, dude. Sheesh. Okay. I'm looking at sort of at our schedule that for next year. In March, you've got SA Bench, right?
yes, yes.
Are you going to go do Eastern Cape Bench, or which one do you want to look at, or Gauteng?
I'm thinking Gauteng. Gauteng is a bit closer.
Yeah,
So yeah.
it's a,
And I think that I think is it at Bullies?
uh,
Um,
it's still saying to be confirmed. So I think it's probably
yeah.
going to be Bullies, yeah. So
Yeah.
which will be
So
great.
yeah. So I would love to compete at Bullies. I
Yeah,
think that Henk and Laura, they really terrific guys,
put on a
amazing
great
guys. I
comp.
mean,
Yeah,
I know Henk for years now. I mean, we've been going on for years now. Henk was with us in 2007 in Greece Kavala. He
mm,
was assistant coach for Rodney. So yeah, we've been hitting it for years now. So yeah, so
absolutely.
if we're going to Gauteng, I'm looking forward to that competition in Gauteng.
Epic. So there will be essays March, and then World
Yes,
Bench in, are they splitting Classic and Equip this year? I can't see. So I think May is going to be Norway. Then you've got Asia, Pacific, and Africa champs in Japan. So there'll be bench for
Japan,
that. That's going to be July.
yeah.
Then August, World Games in China.
Yeah.
Huh?
Look.
And then
It's quite
Masters.
expensive.
And then Masters in Cape Town in October.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, look,
Yeah.
Nicholas, it's very expensive trips still. I mean, Norway, Japan,
You're
it's
talking about
quite
nearly
expensive.
R1 million for next year. That's what you're needing to get you to these comps, right?
All of them.
Well, I think if you're looking at 100 to 200 grand per trip, and that's 4 or 5 internationals that you can get to, so that's close
Yeah,
on
yeah,
700,000 rand plus. If there's 1 or 2 extras that you want to throw in, like the Open champs towards the end of the
yeah.
year.
No,
Yeah. So
it's it's ridiculous.
it,
But I think
yeah,
um, the like the corporates should see those videos and
that's
should
it.
notice that there's a market for this. And I think that if you look at rugby, I mean rugby, it's the biggest
Yeah,
sport in South Africa.
yeah,
Yeah. And if you look at fundamental training, what is fundamental training in rugby? It's powerlifting.
correct. Yeah, in any sport, squat,
So
bench, deadlift. That's
in
it.
any sport, that's it.
So,
So I think that corporate should also look
mm,
into investing into the sport, maybe for an opportunity for former Springbok players to come back and do powerlifting. They can get the SA colors in powerlifting. I mean, it's a win-win situation.
yeah. For me, what I think would be a great opportunity is where a corporate, we say R1 million, let's say for an example, for next year. It looks like a lot of money,
Mm,
but it's 50,000 US dollars. It's less than a footballer earns in a day, right?
mm,
And that's
mm.
with a draw card and with all of that stuff. And yes, there's advertising and marketing and all of these wonderful things around it. Formula One, the brand exposure. If we look at what Liberty Media has done with F1, how they've grown it, how it's now nearly 50-50 in terms of female fans and male fans, which is something that's
Mm.
unheard of. You know,
Yeah,
you can see the old boys at Silverstone scratching their heads in wonder
that's
and
it.
awe, so happy that there's so many ladies coming now and so few.
Yeah,
Husbands don't need to lie anymore. They can bring their
yeah,
wives, are bringing the husbands, and the kids love it and all of
yeah.
this stuff. But
No, definitely.
that starts with a
Yeah,
base of support, and where I think there would
yeah,
be huge opportunity, because I know South Africans, we look at it very differently. We have, not to say that the rest of the world doesn't, but given our history, we have a very, very strong, ingrained social conscience. That's what I've experienced in South
yeah.
Africa. And if a corporate says, right, we're
Yes.
going to invest 3 million rand, and this is going to be a 3-year project, and that's Ricardo's
Mm.
competing, and there's another 3 million rand to equip a facility in the Northern Cape, in communities that are underserviced, building a gym. Ricardo's part of the deal is you're gonna, that becomes a full-time gig
And
for you for 3 years, and
yes,
you
yeah,
coach and inspire. Because as you said, missing your first 2 lifts at a Commonwealth International at the highest level in sport, it's Olympics, it's Commonwealth, and it's worlds. Those are the things that we get to
that's
here.
the thing.
And then
That's the
you
thing.
changing lives in a very real, tangible way, because unlike so many other programs that have kids involved, that develop kids, there might be 1 or 2 that you can pick 5 years down the line, 6 years down the line. He got his own business.
Yeah,
But with powerlifting, where it becomes so linear, and which I love about the sport,
yeah,
you can see who are the kids going to provincials. All of them.
That's
Because
the
with
thing.
juniors and
Yeah,
sub juniors, they're all going to go. You just got to show up. And then who's going
yeah,
to nationals? Who's representing at international level? You take a kid that's going to apply for a bursary at university and they show that they've won a medal for South Africa that separates them from the competition. All of these wonderful,
oh,
wonderful
definitely.
things. So, for an investment like that over a 3-year program, as an example, it becomes
Yeah,
a game changer, and the value in it is you as the lighthouse, the coach doing it, showing the kids what to do, that you're doing it, bringing the medals back and inspiring them and training them, and most of all, bringing that 20 years worth of experience. This is where I see, and
yeah,
this is why we do this. And we'll get we'll get the podcast out, and this component of the podcast. Corporates really
yes.
do need to take a step
Uh,
into the sport
yeah,
because it's so accessible.
yeah. Look, I want to mention something
Mm,
to you, Nicholas, that you get disabled lifters who
mm,
outlift able-bodied competitors. I don't know if you watched the
mm,
2024 Paralympic powerlifting.
I
The
didn't.
astonishing. You must watch it. It's tremendous weight that those guys are bench pressing.
So
I
I think,
remember there
yeah,
was a guy in the 90, there's a guy in the 97 weight division that did a
mm,
270 bench press. New
sure,
world record, new Paralympic record. No one in able body lifting have ever done that. There
yeah,
was a lifter, he passed on, he's from Iraq. He bench pressed 310 kgs. No one in history did that in a single lift. No,
yeah,
no Olympic lifter, no able-bodied bench presser. No one
yeah,
did that big weight. And that guy didn't have any corporates. No one sponsored him. It was like the government and few organizations that
mm, mm.
supported him, but it wasn't like the massive billions that is invested in that guy, and he achieved that. No one can do that. I
And
mean,
the
310
the
kgs
yeah,
at the Paralympics.
there
No
was
one did that
a
at
lifter.
Olympic level.
Yeah, was it a lifter from Vietnam? Rodney was telling me at the 2000 Olympics, he did a 4 times body weight bench press. I think he weighed in at 50
Yes,
and
I
he
think.
did 200.
Yeah, it was a
Hey?
Vietnam lift, I think. I remember
Yeah.
that lifter,
You know,
yes.
like
Yeah, four
that's
times body
something
weight.
that's something that stuck with me. I think that this is why we're making these videos. This is why I'm doing these interviews. This is why we're putting in this huge amount of time and effort to drive this. It's to create awareness, because you can have the greatest product in the world, which I believe powerlifting is. It's an amazing
Mm,
product, just like F1 is, just like football is, just like rugby is. But if people don't know about it, we also need to remember 95 Rugby World Cup with Francois Pinard did was, they took rugby professional. Before that, the guys
yeah,
had full-time jobs or multiple
I
jobs,
know.
and
I
95 was
know.
30 years ago. It was not that long
Mm.
ago. So it doesn't take that long to change the sport and to create the awareness.
Nick, Nicholas, I want to
Mm,
tell you something. Rugby is starting to become the world's number one sport.
mm,
It's even overtaking soccer now. So rugby is becoming a big sport now, and I think that strength training, whereby there should be massive investment put into strength training, whereby most of these sports are benefiting out of it.
yeah, absolutely. It's other sports, it's academia, it's self-worth, it's teaching delayed gratification, it's teaching working for a
Yes,
goal, and best of all, unlike any other sport really that I'm aware of, maybe bowls, or 10-pin bowling, that you can
yes.
compete at an international level. We spoke about Dan earlier. Dan's going to be 80 next year, and he's still competing.
Hmm?
He's
Yeah,
moving
no,
more weight.
definitely.
He's moving more weight than I am at the moment. Only difference is I can get onto the podium easier. Uh, yeah. So all
No,
of
no, no,
these things, and this is why we're doing this. So I think this is really what's needed. It's about creating awareness of this incredible sport, this amazing product that can slowly start to drive, and it takes investment. But again, not just invest. Don't just invest in an athlete. Invest in a Ricardo, and then get a gym built and invest in that, because also the
yeah,
thing is, there's the upfront costs are not that high compared to a traditional commercial gym. There's no machines,
that's the
there's
thing.
nothing to service,
Because
there's nothing
you
to
see,
maintain.
yeah, Nicholas, the thing is,
Mm,
for you to give once off investment to an
mm,
athlete, that money that money gets finished quickly.
yeah,
If you if I get 50,000 rand for a trip, that 50,000 goes for expenses, it goes for everything, it goes for training, it goes for the
it's
trip,
just
it goes.
flights.
Now,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's like if I have a gym and I have a membership and I
mm,
have it's daily income that I'm getting every day. I mean, it's money I can get every day.
mm,
I can sort out many things, one time, like once at a time, like
yeah,
okay, I have so many clients this week, so the money that I'm accumulating now, that can go for my accommodation. There's my
yeah,
accommodation sorted out. Do you understand?
for
So I
sure.
mean, it's an ongoing process.
But
If
mm,
someone can invest in a champion powerlifter and supply them with a full fledged gym, so that they can train the community and then they can make an income out of that gym. Yeah.
and it's even there. I mean, there can be sponsorship so that you don't have to worry about the income generation, but long term, that
Yes.
gym becomes part of it, because it's the guidance and the experience that's shared in the gym that is invaluable to the youth, because
Yeah.
young men
And
in
then,
particular need role models that they can look up to, that are healthy, that are not
yes.
criminals and that are not gangsters. So kids don't want to look at
Yeah.
criminals and gangsters,
Um,
so they turn to the church.
yeah.
And unfortunately, in South
Yeah.
Africa, we have a history of ministers taking money and running away. So what's going on there? So where are the role models? And the role models are the athletes. The role models are the ones stepping up, doing what needs to be done. And then again, with
Yeah.
the guidance of the corporates. So you talk about running a gym. There must be financial literacy programs. You set up a board of directors for the gym, so that you have these very experienced business leaders that are involved in the corporates, that are helping you run and promote the gym, build the gym, run the business, even franchise, but build multiple lighthouses for the youth to come into, for girls
Yes.
to come into a
Yes.
safe place that they can know they can hang out after school, that they can study, that they can spend time, they can train. The bigger kids know that they're
Yes.
actually the strongest ones. There's nothing wrong with them. All of these multiple
Yeah.
levels that are so important. And that's really the value of these kind of structures. As an example, what I loved about training at St. Stidians was you'd see some of the Australian and New Zealand rugby guys come and train at the High Performance Centre when they were in South Africa. So there's an opportunity
Yes.
for the Northern Cape to get a game, an international, purely so that the athletes, the rugby players or the soccer players or whoever, can come and train at the gym and to talk to the kids
Yes.
and to invest. So
Yes.
now suddenly Kimberley
Yes.
is on the map as an example, as opposed to Cape
Mm.
Town, Durban, Johannesburg for a game,
Mm.
because there's the gym. And then you build these in the different communities, and that's how it's rolled out. And the reality is the investment is in cold, hard steel. It's always there. It's not
That's
something
the
that's
thing.
wearing and tearing
And
and breaking.
I think, yeah, I think that I'm working on something now, big, something massive,
Mm.
and it's basically a rehabilitation program that I'm working on. So I want to see on looking at building like a non-profit organization,
Mm-hmm.
um, from drug love to powerlifting, from
Yeah,
drug lifting to powerlifting.
love
Yes.
it. Yeah,
So I want to get guys who are former drug addicts to get involved in powerlifting.
yep,
To give them a purpose, and to show them there's more things in life than to throw yourself in drug abuse, in
for sure.
gangsterism, and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Yes.
You
Yeah,
know, you
so
can call
so I'm
from
looking at working on
yeah.
something like that.
Absolutely, it's phenomenal. You know, that's my book, which I'm just finishing up, my life story, which is because being an
Wow.
alcoholic, you know, from the bar to the bar, right? So
Yes,
you know
yes,
that's it,
yes.
and it's hugely valuable. By the way, completely off the subject and going back a little bit, I want to say I love this program of yours, and this is something that adds another level. So you mentoring school kids, and now you mentoring recovering addicts. You're giving them purpose, the opportunity to become coaches, to become, you know, what I love
Athletes.
about what I love about so many of the other countries, like particularly the UK guys, right? Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, UK, Great Britain. I mean, that's all that one. Canada, even as well. They have minders. So we have a head coach, and then you have the minders
Okay.
that are responsible for the athlete. So the coach is making all
Wow.
the big decisions, but because there's so
Okay.
many athletes to look after, each athlete has an assigned minder to look after you, to warm you up, to take you to platform, to put in your attempts, to manage you, and that's it. So you can train guys as coaches and as minders, and they'll come to it. As you said, with the SAPF being such an incredible organization, really, we're very blessed with our SAPF that this is something they would
Yes,
embrace,
no,
where they'll say,
definitely,
right,
definitely,
they'll
yes.
put
No,
in they'll put in an
100%.
exam structure for coaches and minders, you know, just to have that experience. So this is something that can definitely be rolled out, and there's so many ways to maximize the good in this. Well, Ricardo, are you there? It looks like we lost the line a little bit. Can you hear me? You okay?
Yeah,
You
we
there?
lost some connection, yes. Okay,
Okay,
I got
cool.
it,
You
I
got you
got it.
back. The one thing I
I hear
wanted to
you.
say, yeah. So I figured out why I think you bombed on your two opening attempts, your first and your second. You got me. We may have lost Ricardo there. The network seems to have gone down. Let's give him a couple of minutes, see if we can get him back. Ricardo, just give us a shout if you can hear us. Are you there? There we are. Right, all good. We got you back. Ricardo, dude, how are we doing? Are you moving around for Wi-Fi signal? Let's just give him a few minutes to see if we can get him back. We've covered so much. I think we've just lost him there. We've covered so much in this interview, and it was absolutely fantastic. One thing I did want to mention to Ricardo before we lost him was I think I figured out why he lost. He missed his first two attempts. Is that new Elico bench, the new Elico rack? It's so flippin' comfortable. You lie down and they just like, oh, I just want to close my eyes for 5 minutes. Anyone who's lifted on it will know exactly what I mean. And it was absolutely that's what I think happened. He dozed off and missed the command. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We were chatting to Roberto Fitzpatrick, not only a phenomenal para powerlifter, but a phenomenal able body lifter as well. Someone who's absolutely awesome, a great gentleman, a great ambassador for the sport. You heard it, over 20 years of experience on the platform, multiple internationals, multiple international victories and gold medals, and wanting to do some big things for the sport. That's what I see within powerlifting. Everybody who's involved in it develops this deep love and this passion and this connection to it, and wants to grow the sport and give people the gift of powerlifting. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely wonderful. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for your time. And we look forward to having you back on soon. We've got another epic lifter that I was fortunate enough to meet at Commonwealth, I think from Nova Scotia, if I got that correct. And we're looking forward to chatting to him soon. We'll post about that shortly. And on Sunday night, 8 p.m. South African Standard Time, I'm chatting to the Western Province, that's in the Cape, Western Province Powerlifting Federation. We will be live streaming Western Province Nationals, which will be on I think the 7th and the 8th of December this year. And why you should be watching those interviews is World Masters next year is taking place in Cape Town. So it'll give you some good insight into the powerlifting mindset in the Western Cape, what it's like in Cape Town. It's taking place at a gym in Paarl. We're looking forward to going down there to support Western Province Powerlifting, to support South African powerlifting, to support powerlifting. We'll be live streaming that event for them at no cost. We're covering our own costs and just going down there to give them some exposure. We will be running some ads on the live stream as well. All of those funds will be going directly to the Western Cape Powerlifting Federation, or Western Province Powerlifting Federation. Sorry, I'm old. When I grew up there, we called it Western Province. It's the Western Cape. So please join us on Sunday evening for that. It's going to be a live chat with some of the executive, and they'll be taking questions as well. You can share your questions and comments. So again, thank you for joining us. Great conversation with Ricardo. Sorry we lost him, but we're very fortunate that we were able to have him right up until the end pretty much. And wish you guys a fantastic Thursday evening or Thursday morning, depending where you are in the world. And we look forward to bringing you many more amazing interviews and conversations with champions between now, the end of the year, and of course, in 2025. Thank you for joining us, guys. Oos.